What's up, Juventini? You just knew it was only a matter of time before all hell broke loose in the media. Today is that day, all right? We've got management under fire. You've got a split between who's actually going to call the shots, Elkan or Giuntoli, when it comes to Thiago Motta's fate. But in the background, you've got candidates coming up for the coaching role at Juventus. You've got a do-or-die situation around Fiorentina. You've got Max Allegri 3.0 coming up. And for a little bit more fuel to the fire when you absolutely don't need it, a player caught at the disco at 1:30 a.m. We're going to tackle all of this together right now. I'm Berto. This is the AJC, your channel dedicated to Juventus. It's March 11th. Let's rock with the news. And we kick things off with management being under fire. There are 4 key points as to why management has been under fire from the fan base and now obviously getting attention from the media. But the 4 points are, number 1, a deafening silence, and 2, kind of go hand in hand, absence in difficult moments, as they have been completely silent pretty much around these difficult defeats. Empoli, Coppa Italia, Champions League bouncing to PSV, and then an absolute rout by Atalanta, our worst home defeat since 1967. On top of it, you've got our president at that match caught with his head down, seemingly sleeping, and that says it all, and that annoyed many. And you know what? Rightfully so. Point number 3, though, focus on only accounts. And number 4, market choices when it comes to Gonzalez, Coat Miners, and Douglas Luiz. Well, I could say this. There is a bit of a split, and I do have a split on some of these. Points 1 and 2, the absence, the silence, that annoys me. That's fair. Focus on only accounts, that needed to be done regardless. We have to be honest with that. The market choices, I still stand firm that those player pickups were fine, and Motta isn't the one doing his job. But now you get into a split. You get into a split as it's being reported that Elkan and Motta share a strong bond and a promise, and that part of Motta being in here is that there was some type of protection in the sense coming from Elkan that he would not be relieved of his duties at the first sight of difficulty, and that we would actually stick with this project moving forward. So now we're starting to look at this thing as who's actually calling the shots, because Giuntoli is reported to have a relationship that is breaking down between him and Motta because of the pressure to reach top 4. Champions League qualification, because of the financial detriment it would be to this club to not qualify. Now, this is why I'm not buying that Elkan has protection in there for Motta, because if anybody is going to be stressed about the financial ramifications of not qualifying, it is Elkan, because he wants this thing set and squared up and looking pretty, especially for the shareholders and potentially for some sales, if that's what's going to happen with more shares at Juventus. So I'm not buying into the split between Giuntoli and Elkan. And on top of that, we keep getting linked with more and more candidates, and it is being reported that Fiorentina is the do-or-die match for Thiago Motta. And if something goes wrong there and awry, he would be relieved of his duties immediately. The expectations are that Brambilla, one of Brambilla, who coaches Next Gen, or Magnanelli, who is with the Primavera, would come up to handle the senior side, because anybody else outside of that would want a commitment. Moving forward into the summer, your targets, apparently, Gasperini, a concrete option for Juventus. It does not look like he's renewing with Atalanta. Conte, constantly there and linked. There are many rumblings from Italy that contacts have been made, and that Juve is actively working to convince Conte to come in. Now, there's a lot to buy into this, all right? Number 1, if we were doing that, what is the point of even keeping Thiago Motta around for these remaining games if everything is in jeopardy and in danger of not reaching top 4? So you got to take everything with a grain of salt, all right? Now, more possible candidates, Xavi. Xavi's name now getting linked with the job potentially, and Allegri 3.0. You knew it was just a matter of time before he was linked with us, right? However, his friend speaks out to the potential of him coming in, and that's Gaglioni. Always vocal around everything to do with Allegri. And he says, never will Allegri return to Juventus. All right? But another name that comes in, Pioli. Pioli apparently an option. This one, according to Gazzetta, and this one, I'm not really buying. But you just never know. I think it's going to be a big push for one of Conti. And if that doesn't happen, Gasperini. That's what I believe is going to go down, all right? Let's wait and see. But Sunday, Fiorentina, do or die situation apparently for Motta. And I would have to tend to believe that one. Do you? Hit me in the comments. Now, when it comes to our roster, Alberto Costa apparently is set for a loan this summer to a mid-table Serie A side, all right? So some doubts coming up about the maturity of him to be able to play in the first-team squad. I'm not so sure that I'm buying into that one just yet. Let's wait and see. Savona, there are small signs of positivity he could be fit for the match on Sunday. But again, he's only going to be used on the left side, so he becomes backup to Cambiaso. Douglas Luiz, well, nothing to do with his fitness, but everything to do with adding a little more fuel to the fire in terms of the chaos around Juventus. He was caught at the disco on Monday, 1:30 a.m. Listen, not a good look with the season he's having, but ultimately what it really comes down to, was he at training on time? Was he willing to do everything properly in his recovery and his rehab? Let's see, but it's still an awful look for Douglas Luiz on top of a brutal first year at Juventus. That's the way it's going for us right now. We need to rein it in overall, everywhere, from the top down. Shambles a bit, everybody. Shambles. But hey, that's your news break. You know the drill. I can't wait to hear from all of you today. Okay, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join our AJC army, but let's mix it up in the comments. And you know I'm back tomorrow with another edition. Till then, as always, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao tutti.